right? All right, I'm gonna do a pre-trip inspection for West Virginia, Ohio. I do believe this works for PA also. I'm gonna start in front of the truck. That's where you wanna start your pre-trip. I got my 3 L's, remember, your lights, leans, and leaks. I'm gonna start with my lights. I have 5 cab lights, amber in color. They're not broken or damaged, working properly. I have my headlights, I have my low beams and my high beams. They're clear in color, not broken or damaged. I have my turn signals, 4-way flashers. They're amber in color, not broken or damaged. Okay? I can tell that my truck is not leaning. If it was leaning, 3 examples of what could make it lean would be low tire pressure in one of my tires, a broken suspension component, or an improperly balanced load. I can tell that there's nothing leaking in my truck. Things that could be leaking would be motor oil, hydraulic fluid, antifreeze, power steering fluid, windshield wiper fluid, anything. After you do your 3 L's, you don't want to forget about your spot mirrors. It doesn't start with an L, but you want to name it from up front. My spot mirrors, they're not broken or damaged. The glass on the front or the mirror on the front is not damaged. It's clean and clear, and it's adjusted for me, the driver. Okay, you always want to go to the passenger side of the engine first. We're naming things that are special to this side of the engine that you're not going to find on the other side. The radiator, yes, you can find it on the other side, but we're going to talk about the upper radiator hose. This is the radiator right here. It's not cracked, damaged, or loose. It's not leaking any fluids. This is my upper radiator hose. It's made of rubber, so we want to use what's called ABCs, abrasions, bumps, or cuts. Also, there's liquid passing through there. There's nothing leaking. It's held securely in place with a hose clamp. It's nice and tight, not broken or damaged. Down here, we have our alternator. The alternator, it's not broken or damaged. It's held securely in place, and it is a belt-driven alternator. All of them are. There's no more than a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of play on the belt. You want to make sure to let him know that. This is the frame of the tractor. The frame of the tractor is not broken or damaged, and it has to be free of any illegal welds. No illegal welds. And the last thing would be where our exhaust comes out of the manifold, and then we're going to follow it back. It's going to come out down here. We're going to call this a weed burner. Instead of having stacks that face up in the air, this one faces down. Slang term for that is a weed burner. It's held securely in place with metal straps and U-bolts. And one way that I know my exhaust is not leaking is there aren't any soot trails on it. Okay, I start at eye level and I work across, and then I keep dropping down and work across. If you do it this way, you'll be far less likely to forget something. I have my air lines made of rubber, so no abrasions, bumps, or cuts. I don't hear any audible leaks coming from them. They're all secure. All my fittings are nice and tight, and I don't hear any audible leaks coming from my fittings. Right here is where I would take the lid off and add my engine oil, and this is where I would check my engine oil with the dipstick. This is my coolant overflow. It's clear, so I can tell the level of it just by looking through it. The cap, you want to touch it with your fingers. If it's too hot to touch, you're not taking the cap off. If it's cool, then you can go ahead and unscrew it to add. Okay, let's drop down. This right here, that is my steering shaft. You want to twist it with your hand like I just did. Let them know that it's not bent, twisted, broken. on the top and bottom of your steering shaft is your universal joints. They're not broken or damaged, and they have to be properly lubricated. And I'm just going to stick with my steering components, and then we'll come back up. This right here is my power steering gearbox. It's not leaking any fluids. It's not broken or damaged. It's held securely in place. This is my line coming up from my gearbox. It's made of rubber, so there's no abrasion, bumps, or cuts. It's not leaking any fluid, and that's going to lead to my power steering reservoir. It's also semi-transparent. We can tell the level by looking through it. Of course, take off the lid to add. This right here is my pitman arm. This right here is my drag link. Steering knuckle right here. And this part way in the back, it's going to go to your other wheel. It's going to tie this wheel to that wheel. So that, of course, is your tie rod and your tie rod ends. They're not broken or damaged. All of my steering components are held securely in place with castle nuts, called a castle nuts because it's shaped like the top of a castle, and cotter pins. So they're held securely in place with castle nuts and cotter pins. Okay, I'm going to come back up to where I left off. This right here is my water pump. My water pump is not broken or damaged. It's secure. It's not leaking any fluid, and as you can tell, it is belt driven. Okay? There are three things that I cannot see that is hidden behind the frame of the tractor. You have your air compressor governor, and your power steering pump. So your air compressor on this truck, it is gear driven. It is also cooled by the engine's oil. There's no audible leaks coming from the compressor. The governor, it's not broken or damaged. It's secure. And the power steering pump, it's not broken or damaged, and it's not leaking any fluids. Okay, now we're going to move into what I like to call the boing boings. The first thing is going to be your leaf springs. My leaf springs, there's none missing. There's none broken or damaged, and they aren't misaligned. You can't have any misaligned leaves. This right here is my leaf spring hanger. It's not broken or damaged, and my leaves are attached to the axle with U-bolts. Okay, the other boing boing is your shock absorber. My shock absorber, it's not leaking any hydraulic fluid. It's not broken or damaged, and it's mounted securely at its top and bottom mounting points. Okay, we're gonna move into this. This is called your brake chamber. My brake chamber, it's not broken or damaged. It's secure to the truck. My air line coming into my brake chamber. No abrasion, bumps, or cuts. It's not damaged in any way. And this little wire right here is for your ABS. That's your wire that leads to your wheel speed sensor. That controls your ABS. This right here is your slack adjuster. And this little rod that goes into your brake chamber is called a push rod. One way that I would check my slack adjuster, I want to park my truck on level ground. I want to chock the wheels. I want to release the brakes. Then I'm going to pull hard, put gloves on and pull hard. If this push rod comes out of the brake chamber more than 1 inch, then your brakes need adjustment. Okay, this right here, this metal housing all the way on the inside of your wheel, that is called your drum. Okay, my drum is not broken or damaged. It's free from any illegal welds, and you don't want to have any oil or grease on it. On the inside of that, let's see if we can see it. Now, you're not going to be able to see any because it's covered up by the drum, but you're going to have your brake shoes. Brake shoes, you have to have at least 1/4 inch of pad above each rivet. You can't have any cracks in your pad longer than half the width. And also, you don't want to have any oil or grease on your brake shoes. Pad, shoe. Really, they're only called pads if you're talking about disc brakes. If they're drum brakes, then you want to call them shoes. So my wheel can't have any illegal welds. It's not broken or damaged. My tire, all 3 sides of my tire, there's no abrasion, bumps, or cuts. I see that my tread is wearing evenly. I want to have at least 4/32 of tread depth in every major groove. My tire is properly beaded to the wheel, both on the inside and the outside. We're going to run 100 pounds of air in these tires. I don't have any belts showing, any steel wire. It's beaded to the wheel here too. My wheel on the outside, of course, no illegal welds. It's not broken or damaged. This right here is called your wheel hub. It's not leaking any oil. And to check or add the fluid level, we would just pull out this rubber grommet. Lug nuts. All of my lug nuts are nice and tight because looseness would be indicated by rust trails or shiny metal on the threads of the stud. Okay, make sure I didn't forget anything. Yep, I did. Right here. This is my lower radiator hose. Okay, it's not broken or damaged, no abrasion bumps or cuts, not leaking any fluid, and the hose clamp on it is nice and tight. Okay, now we can move on. This right here is going to be a turn signal 4-way flasher. It's amber in color and it's not broken or damaged. This is my mirror. It's mounted securely to the truck. It's not broken or damaged. It's clean and clear, and it's adjusted for me, the driver. This is my door, my handle to my door. The door opens and closes the way that it should because my hinges are in good working order. You want to make sure that they're lubricated and that the door opens and closes correctly. These are my steps that lead to the cab of the truck. You're going to step up on there and make sure that you tell them that they're load bearing. They're going to hold your weight. Next, I have the battery box. Inside, of course, are my batteries. The batteries cannot have any corrosion on the terminals, no loose or bare wires, and there's nothing inside broken or damaged. Same with the battery box, not broken or damaged. We don't have to talk about the DEF, but this is where you would add your DEF fluid. Makes your exhaust, it makes everything burn cleaner. This is your fuel tank. It's not leaking any fuel. It's secured to the truck. It's not broken or damaged. It has to be held onto the truck with metal straps that have rubber grommets underneath. Okay? You're going to unscrew your fuel cap. You're going to show him that the rubber seal is not broken or damaged or dry rotted. You have to have a chain that holds your cap so you don't lose it. Our chain needs to be fixed, of course, which we are going to do. Okay, that's it for that. Back here is one of our air tanks. It's not broken or damaged. It's not leaking any air. The air lines leading to and from the air tank have no abrasion bumps or cuts. I don't hear any audible leaks. My fittings are nice and tight. Up underneath here, you do not want to forget to talk about your drive shaft. That is my drive shaft. It's not bent or twisted, not broken or damaged. On each end of my drive shaft, I have universal joints. They're not broken or damaged, and they are lubricated. Coming up, this is going to be your headache rack. Your headache rack will stop any forward movement of anything you could be hauling. It protects the driver. It's not broken or damaged. My DOT reflective tape has to go all the way around your headache rack. Okay, these are my air lines and electric line. They have to be properly suspended up off of the catwalk. It is because it's held with these springs up here. Your blue is going to be your service line. Red is your emergency line, and green is your electric. These here are glad hands. They're called glad hands. They're not broken or damaged. I don't have any air leaks coming from them. And then you're going to have rubber seals both on your glad hand and on the receptor for the glad hand. They can't be dry rotted, broken, or damaged. Okay, these are my steps that lead up to my catwalk. This is called a catwalk. My steps are load bearing. My catwalk is not damaged. It's in good shape. This one's going to be hard for you to video. if you want to stick your phone right up in here, there's a bar. I should be hitting it, I can't see, but this bar right here, that's your torsion bar. You can call it a torque arm, a torsion bar, or a sway arm. He'll accept either of those. It's not broken or damaged, and it's securely mounted. Okay, I'm not going to repeat parts. If I've already talked about them up here, I'm not going to talk about them back here. For your pre-trip, of course, you are going to keep naming them until he tells you to stop. This right here is going to be my brake chamber. We already talked about that, so I'm not going to go into detail. This is your ABS wire. Now we have something different back here. This right here. You can call this an airbag or an air bellow. Either one. It's a suspension component. It doesn't have any air leaks. It's mounted securely at the top mounting plate and the bottom mounting plate. If we have an airbag present, that's going to make this a control arm and a control arm hanger, not a leaf spring. If we have an airbag, it's a control arm. Control arm hanger. Okay. All your tires, behind your front tires, they only need 2 30-seconds tread depth. The only ones you need 4 30-seconds is your front. So 2 30-seconds, all the same thing, 100 pounds of air, wearing evenly, beat it to the wheel. This is a sealed hub, so all you have to do is tell him it's a sealed hub. We don't have that rubber grommet where we can check or add fluid to it. Okay, up underneath, these right here, these are called your cross members. You want to make sure you check all your cross members all the way back to the end. None of them are broken or damaged, and they're secure. The flat part right here is called your apron. My apron is not broken or damaged, and it has to be lubricated or greased. This is my fifth wheel plate. It has to be greased so you don't have any steering issues. This is my fifth wheel locking pin. This right here is my fifth wheel release handle. And way back in under here is your fifth wheel locking lever. And you always want to make sure you tell him that the locking lever is above the release handle. My fifth wheel is securely mounted to the frame of the tractor with nuts and bolts. Okay, we're going to come up. This is just a running light, amber and collar, not broken or damaged. This is called a rub rail. My rub rail all the way to the back of the truck is not broken or damaged, and it has to have DOT reflective tape. These are running boards. None of my running boards are broken or damaged. None of them are sticking up in the air, which would make it hard to slide a pallet, a load onto your truck. This right here, I forgot to talk about this. This is a splash guard. If it's in front of your tires, it's a splash guard. If it's behind your tires, it's a mud flap. My mud flap is not dragging the ground. It's not broken or damaged, and it's secure to the truck. All right. We have 2 red reflectors. They're not broken or damaged. I have 2 brake lights. These are also turn signals and 4-way flashers. They're red in color, not broken or damaged. I have a clear reverse light. It's working, it's not broken or damaged. And this right here is your license plate light. It's not broken or damaged, it's working properly. We're gonna look back into our fifth wheel right there, and we're gonna tell the examiner that the locking jaws are secure around the shank of the kingpin. That's how you know that you're coupled correctly. If you look right here, you also have another torque rod. Okay, it's not broken or damaged. All right, I'm gonna come back out. This is your landing gear. My landing gear is not broken or damaged. It's secure to the truck. The foot of my landing gear is in the fully raised position, which it needs to be for driving. I don't have any debris stuck to the bottom of my foot. These are my landing gear supports. They're in good shape, securely mounted, not broken or damaged. This is my gearbox for my landing gear, and this is my crank handle. The crank handle has to be stowed away properly, which it is. The gearbox, make sure it's lubricated also. All right, this right here is the frame of my trailer. It has to be free of any illegal welds, not broken or damaged. We're gonna follow till you get to right here. Turn signal, 4-way flasher, amber and collar, not broken or damaged. These are my straps for holding down your load. All of my straps are properly stowed away. They don't look to be ripped or torn or damaged. This axle is the first axle that we've come to where we have 2 tires. We're gonna call these our duals. So there are 4 things that you need to talk about with dual tires. Number 1, you wanna make sure that your wheels are butted together. You see right here, they are butted together. There's no space in between them. Also, we don't have any debris or garbage stuck between the tires. Our tires are not rubbing, which they would be rubbing if they had low tire pressure. And then the 4th thing is, we're looking for 2 valve stems. We got the valve stem for this wheel, and we got the valve stem over here for the other wheel poking through. Okay, all the same things we talked about in the beginning still apply. This is my wheel hub, my seal. Lug nuts are tight. Tell them how you know they're tight. Mud flap, we already did that. If you look back in under here, we still have slack adjusters. That right there hanging down is a slack adjuster. There's your air bellow. We got a shock absorber. We got a control arm. We got a brake chamber. We have our air lines up under here. These are our 2 more air tanks. They're not leaking any air. They're not broken or damaged. The lines leading to and from them, there's no abrasion, bumps, or cuts. Fittings are nice and tight. No audible air leaks coming from it. I would do this axle the same as I just did that axle. On the left side of your truck, on the left side of your trailer, either on the front corner or the back corner, you should have an ABS light. Should be amber and collar. It's not broken or damaged, and right now it's off, indicating that the ABS is working properly. This is just a running light right here, red and collar, not broken or damaged. Okay, our outside, the outside lights, those are 4-way flashers and turn signals. Red and collar, not broken or damaged. This is a brake light, red and collar, not broken or damaged. 3 red running lights, not broken or damaged. Working property. License plate light, it's working, not broken or damaged, and of course your license plate. Your bumper, you want to call this your DOT ICC bumper. It's not broken or damaged, and it has to have DOT reflective tape on it. Once I get to this side of the truck, I would just say I'll do this side of the truck the same as I did that side of the truck, and then you're done. Should be good.